as promised, bug out bag or go bag video for today. And you know, my mentality has changed a lot over the years. You've probably seen it if you've been watching me for a long time. And I'm going to kind of break it down so people really get an understanding of what my concept or my ideology or my thought of what could potentially happen, like what threats are real and how I would prepare for those threats. So I also stated this was a new bag that I created for myself. I did get a handful of them to sell, and if they're popular, then maybe I may bring it online. But this is the ghost bag, go bag. So I changed, I don't use bug out bag anymore, I use go bag, because the bug out bag kind of gives this bushcraft fantasy that is just truly kind of not reality. You know, you're not going to go live off in the woods like. So this bag, GHOST, is acronym for Go Bag for Hostile Operations, Surveillance, and Tactics, right? So I evolved into the mentality of running more of a real world with tactical mobility, okay? If you look at the early days of GWAT, you have dev group guys running around with basically a leather belt, grenade, pistol, and rifle with iron sights, right? No optic. And you know, this was whenever a point in time whenever they didn't have much sustainment at all. You know, there wasn't the infrastructure built like later years of GWAT. So with that mindset, you know, and obviously the more knowledge you have, the more skill you have, the less you need to carry. So anyway, we'll get in the bag, but let me first start off saying that, one, I would never bug out unless it was more dangerous to be at my home or residence than it would be for me to leave. So I would always stay put, and that's where a go bag may come in, because I may have to go run to get more sustainment, more food, maybe go meet up with people, organize, whatever it may be, and I may need to carry a lightweight pack to be fast and mobile, because that's the whole concept that I have. You have to be fast and mobile. Okay, so first off, I'm going to have a house full of gear, full of equipment, food, all that sort of stuff. Secondary to that, if I have to leave, I'm going to have a vehicle. I'm going to have it packed with nutrient survival tubs, right? I always carry one of them in my vehicle anyway, as well as my go bag. So that way I'm always ready to go, as well as a chest rig and so on. So I already have that stuff. So let's say a disaster hits and I can't even go home. At least with what I have in my vehicle, which is my mobile home base, I am able to sustain myself, okay? So beyond that, let's just talk about EDC. EDC, what I carry on my person, that's going to play a part, right? So I'm going to have things like knives, right? I'm going to have knives. I'm going to have flashlight. I'm going to have all those sort of things. I'm also going to have a belt. The belt, to me, is the primary system, right, that I have. Everything goes around the belt, because at the very basic level, I'm going to have a belt. This is the Black Scout concealment belt. We designed it many years ago. I think I've been wearing it every day, not this particular belt, but every day I've worn a concealment belt for like 6 or 7 years since we designed it. Mark Lane from Centerline Systems, former Special Activities Division guy, you know, he and I developed this belt, American made, and the unique part about this belt, one, is rigid, so it's a gun belt, but also has 2 internal pockets that's hidden to the outside. It has pull tabs, so in case I'm restrained, I can still access, one in the rear, one in the front. I keep cash in mine, a small ferro rod, a small cutting blade, ceramic, non-metallic. I keep lock picks, I keep handcuff keys, all that sort of stuff. So at the bare minimum, I can bribe, I can escape, and I can make fire, right? With my belt on. And then I've got a knife, flashlight, all those sort of things. I got other equipment on here. So then if the grid goes down, you know, and I have my EDC pistol as well, right? So I'm going to have my EDC pistol, then I may throw on a knife, and then I may throw on a mag carrier, right? So that way, with just the belt on, I can essentially survive, escape, evade, defend, sustain my firearms, my weapon system, and then I have a knife for survival stuff. So even without a bag or anything else, with this, I can do a lot of things, and which I think is crucial, okay? So moving beyond that, I'm obviously probably going to have knives, I'm going to have a helmet, I'm going to have all that sort of stuff, all that cool guy gear. I'm going to have my weapon systems. I'm not going to talk about that because I've talked about that in tons of videos before. And I think civil unrest video or something like that. I talked a lot about weapon system, comms, and all those sort of things. Then I'm going to have a chest rig. This is a low profile chest rig I'm developing. It's not ready yet, still prototyping it. But essentially from here, this is very low profile. You know, I can remove the radio and essentially hide this under a shirt. And this will be available sometime soon. I've got a small pocket here, have my compass and things like that on there. And this will have basically just sustainment, weapon sustainment equipment. Maybe I've got a smoke grenade here, I've got a comm system here, and things for my weapon system. So, sustainment gear. So that's going to be part of my system. It packs up small, it's with my bag, always. So that way, in my vehicle, it's a mobile command center, okay? So I'm pretty squared away with that. But again, man, I used to carry, if you've watched the old videos, man, I had 60 pounds of gear of just comfort and convenience, you know, living in this bushcraft fantasy. And I think a lot of people were during that time. But if we get down to actually what's happened while looking around the world at different events that's happened, we see being light and mobile is the most important thing, okay? Moving to the bag. Bag's very lightweight. It has 2 bottle pockets here, 2 outside pockets here. And obviously, the first thing I'm going to have very readily, and I'm also going to have first aid gear, trauma gear in my chest rig as well. But I'm going to have easy to access first aid and trauma gear. So I'm going to have a Black Scout IFAK. I'm going to have shears. I'm going to have a tourniquet. And then I'm going to have docbox. Docbox is basically first aid. So a lot of people overload with band-aids when you should have more trauma gear, right? But the docbox is like just small cuts, injuries, and all that sort of stuff. This is a new product we just came out with. And I have antibiotics in here. It has room to add things. I have antibiotics and all that sort of stuff. So all that stuff's going to be in here as well. Also, before I get too far, the pack comes in multicam black and multicam classic. So depending on your environment profile. So let's talk about core survival. Number 1 is water. We're going to need water, right? Water filtration. These vapor bottles are amazing because they can collapse down. Carry multiple in the bag. They can clip on the outside of the pack, your belt loop, whatever. Something to cook in, boil some water in, things like that. Obviously, fire making material I'm going to keep in there as well, something like the spark light. So I got tinder in here, things like that. I'm going to have electrolyte powders, coffees from Nutrient Survival. I've got a Sawyer straw in there, a lot of other little protein shakes and things like that in there. I'm going to have maybe some water filtration drops also. Fire, nothing beats a big lighter. Okay, I'm going to carry a Bic. I'm going to have one in my pocket. I'm going to have a couple in my pack. If I'm going to start a fire, this is going to be the first thing I take out to start a fire with. I also have a backup ferro rod on my knife. I have the spark light that I keep in the bottle as well. So I have multiple fire making devices, and obviously this is a cutting tool. The BSS 5 is going to be on my knife, so it's never going to leave my body. Can do a lot of things like I need to do with this tool, you know. So fire, and then when we're talking about core survival, I'm going to have a small survival kit. These items in here, obviously food, water, food gathering, making traps, fishing kit, all that sort of stuff, fire making, so some redundancies in here, water purification tablets, some signaling devices, you name it. Everything in here, I could pretty much survive along with this kit. So this kit's going to be close to my body whenever I have to get out of Dodge. Looking at shelter, I'm going to have a camouflage tarp in case I need to conceal my position. Things like this. I can also wear this as a poncho, and it's lightweight. I'm not carrying a tent. I'm not carrying tent poles. I'm not carrying that sort of stuff. I also have a survival wrap blanket, and this is in olive drab. So that way I can reflect body heat if things get really nasty for me. I can do that. And if you live in a cold environment, you may need more sustainment gear. You may need more sustainment gear. In the bottom of my pack, I carry a jungle bag. I don't live in a very cold environment, but a jungle sleeping bag, something that, you know, has a zipper net for bugs and things like that. Can regulate my body's core temperature and I probably don't need to use it in summer months at all, just sleep on the ground, but it's something good to have in those colder months. Food, I'm going to have a lot of nutrient survival, whether it's oatmeal, whether it's beans and rice, things like this. I'm going to have protein shakes. This one has amino powders in it. I'm going to have granola bars, things with high carbs to give me energy. Nutrient survival has a lot of vitamins and protein in it, so it's going to be good to go. And obviously I have a lot more in here in the bottle. And I'm going to just basically cram that stuff out. I'm going to also have the bucket in my vehicle. I'm going to have things close by I can get to. And we're talking about core survival. I'm also going to have a flashlight. This one can clip. This is the BSS Tactical Light. You can clip on my head for hands-free, okay? This is the little photon light we sell from Photon. I've been using these things for 30 years. I used them in the military back in the day. And typically how I would do this, I would run this on paracord on my neck, so that way I would always have a red light that I could use. And obviously it doesn't give away a huge signature out there. So I can use this red light while I'm map reading, navigating, making fire, whatever, to try to keep my position concealed. This would probably go in my pocket, and this will go around my neck. So I'm going to disperse a lot of this gear on my body, so that way in case I lose my pack, get separated from it, at least I have my chest rig, my EDC belt, and some critical core survival items. The next section would be mobility and terrain navigation. So the first thing, obviously, your feet is the most important thing, because this could be your vehicle, right, your transportation. So another pair of socks. I'm gonna have a map and compass of my area. I have maps of all different areas. I can't even remember where I got them from. I got them printed from a guy years ago. His company went out of business, but they're small, like E&E maps. Unfortunately, if I had some information to give you, I would, but I don't. But I'm gonna have a map and compass. I got a little whistle on here in case I need a signal for rescue, in case it's not a situation where it's like the apocalypse and everybody's hunting each other, and I'm just trying to survive, like I'm trapped somewhere or something, just trying to survive. Tactical gloves, because they provide protection, like knuckle protection, things like that. I may be in an urban area, maybe having to open things, cut metal, what have you. I need something to protect my hands. You want to protect your body. It's not about being a tough guy. It's about protecting your body, because small wounds can eventually get infected, kill you. So you want to protect your body. Your rain gear. Okay, I'm going to have something like my Arc'teryx here. I've got a couple Arc'teryx lightweight rain gear, so I can pack this down. Essentially, this is shelter. I'm living off this. Camo tarp, mini tarp is going to play into that as well. So something I can keep my body dry or cut wind, whatever I need to do. There's plenty of uses for this. Okay. Worst case scenario, I can dig a hole, put it in the hole, and capture rainwater. I can do the same with this. It's kind of where it gets into the more knowledge you have, the more skill you have, the less you need. Because somebody may say, well, you don't have a lot of water containment devices. It's because I can improvise, I can adapt. I know I have years of experience in training. And things that I may not carry, I can improvise those things or scavenge those things. I know where to look for these things. Let's look at comms and signal. All right, so number one, I'm going to have obviously a cell phone. I have multiple cell phones. So I've got a cell phone. Radio I've already shown. I'm going to need ways to power those things, right? Maybe I'm going to need a Faraday bag to cut my signal, so it's not, you know, my signal's not being given out, depending on the situation. I can put my phones in here, and I'm going to need energy sources, so batteries, right? This battery container here. I have a battery pack here, and this has multiple different connections. I'm gonna put the link for this on Amazon. This is an amazing piece of gear. I have a small one too. They sell multiple. They sell them in these tactical colors. But check this out. So they also sell a solar panel for this, so I can recharge the Black Scout Survival Tac Light, because it is a rechargeable light. But this solar panel pops out, right? So I can power all my equipment, leave it out. The other cool thing about this item is that we have obviously all the cables and stuff tucked away in there, but we also have the ability to make a lantern. So, and they have like a fan too. You can get all this stuff. So basically you put the tripod down here. So then you clip this onto the top, and now you have a light. So I can charge my items at the same time while I have a small light, and then this is dimmable, which I like, so I can have just the most faint amount of light. It's not super white, so it's not going to give away my position. Obviously, you can light it very bright, but it's something good to have. It doesn't weigh much, and you have a solar charger here, so you can charge all your devices, your phones, your GPSs, your flashlights if you have a BSS Tactical Light, and obviously this piece of equipment here. So it's a very cool piece of equipment, and I highly recommend it. They have a single tube too, so if you're really tight on space, I keep one of those in my man purse. That way I always have the ability to charge my phone while I'm walking. Last but not least, if we have to go truly primitive on our signaling capabilities, I have IR beacons that I've shown before that snap on the batteries. I have IR strobes on my helmet, which I've shown before. So my team, we can see each other with the IR lights, as well as the weapon light being IR capability. You can flash to each other and things. But let's say we have to go completely low profile, right? I have signal mirror, right? If I can get it, I don't know, I can. There's no direct light here, so. And then obviously a IR patch here, as well as a Solus patch. And then I could put that on my pack if I need to. And then a VS17 panel. If you don't know what that is, something the military uses. Has a pink side and an orange side. So in case, and then I can put the IR on here as well, or the Solus on here, depending on the situation. But I have low-tech signaling capabilities. Speaking of low-tech, I'll also have chem lights, so that way chem lights are amazing because they don't require a battery source. I can make a buzz saw. This is an IR chem light, so only my team can see this, or anyone with night vision goggles. And we can signal each other with the chem lights, or mark a spot that no one else can see. I also have traditional chem lights in there as well that give a glow and things if we need to mark something. So good thing to have. So the next section would be tools and utility. Obviously I'm going to have a lot of paracord. I'm going to have duct tape. I got duct tape flat pack somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I've got a flat pack of duct tape because duct tape and paracord can fix anything. I'm going to have a multi-tool because the multi-tool can do a lot of things, give me lots of ways to create things, make things, stuff like that. It also has an additional blade. So I have a blade that I would keep this for more, I would only use this for like maybe cleaning animals and such. That way the blade is always super sharp. I'm also going to have my EDC blade as well in my pocket, so a lot of cutting tools, and then my main blade as well, which will be my BSS 5, and obviously I can make friction fire with this, and I've got a fire steel here, so a lot of redundancies there. And then I'm going to have entry tools, lock picks, because everything you need is behind a locked door. So I'm going to have lock picks as well. So, and I also have a pair in my belt, so at all times I always have entry tools. These tools solve problems. They escape buildings, fix gear, build fire, right? And you should always prioritize versatility. So the next section will be weapon support and stealth. So obviously my weapon support here, I've already talked about it a few times. And then for stealth, I'm just going to have something simple as this. This is a easy sniper veil. I can cover up myself, my firearm, and it works very well. I've used this thing a ton, TV shows and such. People cannot see you with this. You don't need a full-blown ghillie suit. Really, this will do the job. You can add debris to this as well. Identification, access, and cache. We're going to have our IDs and all that sort of stuff because it may not be a grid down apocalypse scenario. I'm going to have all that stuff, copies of everything. I'm going to have a USB drive with all my information. I'm also going to have small bills, cash, maybe a little bit of gold and silver, something I can bribe, I can pay. I also have tools I could trade if I needed to. And, you know, bugging out could mean bribing. It could mean bluffing. It could mean breaking through. You don't know. You don't know the situation you may be placed in, so you need to be prepared for all scenarios. And then I'm just going to have a notepad, right? Maybe I have pictures of my kids in here. I have information written in here that I can go back to later. In this book, I keep various routes and things like that, sketch maps, and so on. It's waterproof, so that way it's not going to get destroyed. And I can take pictures of my loved ones in here and give me motivation, because morale is key. Maybe I have Bible verses written in here as well, things that keep me motivated and grounded in a bad situation. Things I want you to remember when you're planning your bug out bag is mobility over mass. Don't believe you're going to go live off the land with a 60-pound pack. It's not reality, especially in an urban or suburban conflict zone. Speed equals survival. Being able to run fast, move fast, climb, crawl, whatever you need to do. Being burdened with a cumbersome pack and equipment is going to slow you down and restrict your movement. That is going to get you killed. The next thing is the bag is the extension of the operator, okay? It is not the operator. It should complement your skill set, not compensate for your lack of one. Big bags slow you down, tire you out, and turn you into a target. You want to keep a tight silhouette, right? Streamlined silhouette, low snag factor. Again, moving. Movement may be what keeps you alive. The other biggest thing, I've said this since the inception of Black Scout Survival, is that knowledge replaces gear. The more you know, the less you need to carry. A man with fire starting knowledge doesn't need 10 different ways to make a fire. With navigation skills, doesn't need a GPS, map, compass, a freaking phone app. He doesn't need all those things. Tools can break. Your brain doesn't. And worry about your core survival equipment, okay? The things that you truly need to keep you alive. Don't pack like you're recreating the movie The Revenant. Pack like you're making a surgical withdrawal from a hot zone. Most people are truly not ready to go do a full-blown wilderness survival, right? You look at even guys that are experienced survivalists, they go on these TV shows and they struggle after, a couple days. That's just not the reality. Most people don't have the skill sets necessary for that. Every item should earn its weight, okay, guys? Everything. And having tons of duplicates of something doesn't make sense. Have trustworthy, reliable gear. But again, the thing is that for me over the years, thinking about all the possible scenarios, looking at real world scenarios, things that have really happened in the world, and structuring myself around that, it just makes sense to be light, mobile, fast, right? And obviously the more knowledge I have, the less I need to carry. And a lot of people are probably going to say in this video, oh man, this is just an infomercial. Newsflash, I'm a survival company. So of course I'm going to make the stuff I use. Duh. They're going to say it. Oh, this is just an infomercial. Maybe it is. Or maybe I'm trying to share knowledge with you. But the thing is that a lot of people have a misconception of what bugging out will be. So anyway, I hope this video draws, sheds some light on what I would carry. Maybe it helps you design some of yours. Obviously add suggestions to mine if you'd like. And guys, I always appreciate your support. Make sure you go pick up a pack. Like I said, we only have a few of them, the Ghost Pack. But if it's a hot item, then I will make it a full-blown product. So just let me know. And remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Take care.
2, 3. 1, 2.